Hey guys, I'm live. I am live from sunny California. Okay, as I stated, I wanted to kind of go over the state of Iowa men's basketball, what I feel and stuff, and of course the things that we're going to talk about here are fluid because of the transfer portal. Because we don't know who else is going to go in the transfer portal and who's coming. Okay, but let's just talk about Iowa's basketball. 19 and 15, they finished the year with a loss. Of course, that was with a loss to Utah. We gave up 90 some odd points there, which is not surprising considering Utah is well. We'll just leave it at that. We finished 10-10 in the conference, which was good for seventh place in the conference, which gives Fran his 11th upper upper division finish in the Big Ten. So that's not too bad. I know that he's had some sixes and some fives. I don't know that he's ever had a top four, but I know he's been in 5 and 6 quite a bit. Five and yeah, 5 and 6 quite a bit too in that position. Okay, and so let's talk about where this program was this year. Okay, we had some good wins against Nebraska, Wisconsin, Northwestern, Michigan State, Seton Hall. Okay, I think they all went to the NCAA. I don't know about Seton Hall. But we had bad losses to Michigan twice, um, Maryland twice, Indiana, Penn State. Those are teams that we led with double digits late in the game. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about Tony Perkins here in just a sec. Um, and so, but anyway, if hi everybody, if you guys feel free to comment as much as you want to on here. And I will try to keep it pertinent and things. And hi Jared, hi Llama. Um, and so, but I'm looking at is the program failed in many ways this year because what this program could have been had they won those 5 games I just highlighted, that would have given them a 15-5 record and a top four finish in the Big Ten. Okay, so see how close they actually were this year. But to me, I just felt like this team was in a transitional year. When you think about it, I didn't expect a lot out of it. Matter of fact, when I went through the schedule, I had them only winning 14 games total all year. And then as they started to prove me wrong that they were better than a 14 win team, I adjusted my win total up to about 17. And so they did get to 19. So they did prove me wrong. But if we go by the regular season, they had 18 wins in the regular season. So I was about right. But um, some of these teams that I initially thought were going to be like Michigan and Maryland and Indiana and Penn State. I originally had some of those teams as losses, not Penn State um, and not Michigan. I had those as wins, but I thought Indiana would be better, and I thought Maryland would be better. They all turned out to be pretty crappy teams this year. Although Indiana also made the um, NIT, but no, they didn't. I'm sorry. Indiana's the one that opted out. Okay. I don't know if this was considered a rebuilding year because of how many people they had coming back. I think all we really lost was Rabacha. I can't even say his name anymore. Rabacha last year, and I think we had Joe Toussaint transfer out, but that wasn't a huge loss because we weren't using him at the end of the year. And so, Josh Dix was already a member of the team. Harding and has worked his way into the game this year. We had Perkins coming back, and early in the season, early even in the Big Ten season, I defended him a lot because I thought, this guy, we need him because he can drive to the lane, create shots, score sometimes. But what he was doing, even if he didn't score, he was always drawing fouls and getting most of his points at the foul line. And then all of a sudden, he went south for the year. And as you guys know, that he's in the transfer portal now. I don't know where he's going to go, where he's going to land. I'm actually kind of hurt that, that since he's leaving and wants to continue to play basketball, that he didn't choose to stay at Iowa. Even though I think he should go because he hasn't really proved much to us this year. Because he just seemed to he just must have been unhappy. I know he played hurt, but he just didn't seem to have the fire the last 4 or 5 games of the season that he actually played, that he had early on, especially during his big run when he was really producing a lot for us. Okay, and so I don't know. Overall, the season I think was above expectations. I'm going to say that 19-15, in my opinion, was above expectations. 10-10 in the Big Ten to me was above expectations. I don't know what everybody else was thinking, but for the second straight year, we did not get a 20-win season, and that's always kind of a benchmark: is how many 20-win seasons can you have, and how many times do you make it to the NCAA tournament, even if you're one and done, which is what Iowa's main resume has been is several NCAA tournaments, and they were one and done most of the time. They did have at least one time where they got 2 games in, and maybe a couple of times they had 2 games in, but most of the time they were pretty much done. Yeah. Jared thinks he thought it was a possible 21 season, and I know you weren't the only one who thought that, Jared, because I actually did not think that, but I know several people who did and were very vocal and got very mad at me when I initially came out with a 14-win season projection, because I felt, and I said at the beginning of the year when I did my pregame, preseason forecast, I said right then and there, guys, this is going to be an up and down year. I can see where we can beat anybody and anybody can beat us. And that's the way this year went. We proved that we beat some solid teams. We didn't beat the elite teams like Purdue and Illinois, but we beat some solid NCAA teams along the way. Okay, we did that. We got smoked by Iowa State. Yes, we did. We got smoked by Purdue. Yes, we did. And we hung with Illinois for both games, but it wasn't to be. Okay, this one here is Lama says, if Brock had been allowed to play for turnover-prone Perkins, Iowa might still have been playing. I think Brock wasn't given enough playing time, but I think they were looking more at Perkins' defense anymore because Brock doesn't really have much defense. I mean, the guy is a slick passer, and when he can get himself open, he's a slick shooter. Although he wasn't looking to shoot a lot this year. It just if the shot was coming to him, if it just happened to be there, he took it. Okay, so but overall, I would say I would tendency to agree with you because Perkins. I mean, Harding wouldn't dribble into traffic and turn the ball over. But also too, I just don't think Perkins was playing with much heart the last few games. And like I said, they said he was hurt. But when I watch him shoot, he didn't look hurt to me. But you can still have a sore hand and do your best to accommodate for that when you're shooting, when you're playing, and still come around and be good and give it heart. If you're playing with heart, your fans can tell if you're playing with heart. Okay, they can tell. Okay. So I might be boring some of you because we did have at least 4 on here at one point. Now we're down to 1, so I don't know who's left. But anyway, so that's what it looks. So who's going to be gone right now? We know PMAC is gone. He all but said so without saying it. Okay, Perkins we know is gone because he said it. Bowen is gone because he said it. Cricky is gone because he said it. And okay, so who do we have coming back next year? I looked this up. We have a guy who's a guard. He's a redshirt freshman this year, so he'd be a redshirt sophomore next year, by Spencer Hutchins, sitting on the bench right now. Okay, both Sanfords will be back next year. Both will be. Dix will be back next year. Harding is back next year. Dembele is back next year, and he's really a good rebounder. But I just don't see much in his offense and and to me he's a foul machine. But if you listen to any podcast that Jordan Bohannon says, that he tells him to go out there and commit the foul, get rebounds, commit the fouls, commit hard fouls, and don't shoot. But does he listen? No, he shoots and misses a lot. Okay. Going back to Perkins on this one, if he played hurt, that's very selfish of him considering his last stat line. Yeah, did he play hurt because he was told to play hurt? Or did he play hurt because he wanted to help the team? Because he didn't show that he wanted to help the team. I mean, I'm going to give PMAC and Cricky credit, our other seniors on the team. They came out and played hard the last couple of games. They played hard. They showed that they wanted to be there and wanted to play. But Perkins did not. Perkins didn't come out and play short. But if you also notice, too, the last few games, Dix supposedly also was hurt with a leg or knee or ankle or something. And Dix wasn't playing like the Dix that was on fire. Remember when Dix was making all those points and stuff when we were going through our really good times right before we got to the last couple of Big Ten games and NIT. His game went the other direction too. But I don't know. It's just it happens, okay? It happens, and I'm a big firm believer. All right, here's one that's is Fran on the hot seat, or is it beginning to heat up? I don't think Fran's on the hot seat yet. Number one, this is a guy who's had several 20-win seasons with this team. He's had them in the upper division of the Big Ten every year. And 11 seasons out of his 14, or is it 13? It might be 13. Okay. That and the fact that he has a big buyout, this guy's not going anywhere unless he leaves on his own accord. He's not going anywhere, at least for a couple of seasons, and he's kind of indicated that he's not going anywhere. But we'll see. People change their mind, People change their mind. This could be the first time in many years that he doesn't have a son to coach on the team. And I think people really feel like there was nepotism going on there, that his boys were only playing because he was the head coach. I disagree with that, but I think they were playing because they were good enough to play. You can see this year how this team is struggling without Connor on the floor. Connor is such a leader. Like those 5 losses that we had where we had double digits lead in the fourth quarter or or at the end of the game, the last quarter of the game, not quarter. When teams started to make a run at us last year, Cooper would be on the floor to settle the team down and get them pointed back in the right direction. And then as teams got closer, if we had double digit lead and they get it down to 3 or 4 or 5 point lead, we would start to heat back up again and get the lead, extend the lead again. That's how last year's team went with Cooper on the floor. This year, when a team started to run on us, we could not stop the bleeding this year. We had no way of stopping the bleeding except for some of those games that we actually did, But that's why I said this was going to be an up and down year, because we're gonna have highs and lows on this team this year. That's exactly what happened. So I would say this team, kind of reached where it should have, in my opinion, and it did reach higher expectations than what I kind of thought. Okay, but who do we got coming back next year? I know we already did that, but who are we bringing in right now? Cooper Koch. I call it Cook where I grew up, but it's Koch out here. Everywhere else I get. Chris Tajo. He comes in with 3 stars. Koch comes in with 4 stars. They're both 6'8" power forwards. So We got quite a few of them on the team. Where the Sanford brothers will probably continue to play around the guard and small forward area. Dick's a small guard. The off guard, and I don't know who's playing the point next year. I was going to try to take with what we have here, who we could do, but we got Carter Kingsbury. He's going to come back next year. Maybe he can just be our Jordan Bohannon, just be a pure shooter, not do anything else. That could help, maybe. Okay. Luke Lacatia. I can't say that. I don't know if he's a walk-on or not. And then you got Riley Mulvey, who's a 6'11 post. I hope that he works out, guys. I expected today to have a few names from the Iowa team in the transfer portal. That did not happen, guys. We just had one name go in the transfer portal. I'm not saying that it still won't happen. Oh, look who I forgot to put on our returning list. Freeman. Yeah, Freeman's coming back. He's going to need another big guy with him to take the pressure off of him if he comes back. And so far, he hasn't said he's entering the transfer portal. So we're good. We're good. Like I said, I expected some names to be in there today, and everybody's predicting that both Harding and Freeman are gone. That we better find some NIL money to keep them around. So I don't know how that is, but I think our needs next year, we definitely need a point guard. So we need to go in the transfer portal and find a point guard. And if Mulvey isn't ready to back up Freeman next year and Dembele, I'm okay with his rebounding and stuff. I'm just not comfortable with the rest of his game yet. It might get better. Sorry about the itch there. And so I also think we need a post. We need a backup post but how do we know? Yeah, okay, Jared. What are the expectations for next season? Here, Jared, here's what I think the expectations should be. 20-plus wins, another upper division finish in the Big Ten, and an NCAA appearance. And this time, put us in a bracket where we actually have a chance. Don't put us on somebody's home floor or really close to their home floor for a first-round game. Don't match us up with an underseeded team that was way underseeded. That's happened before. Even last night's women against West Virginia, who were seeded number 8, they, according to Lisa Bluter and her staff, after they scouted this team, they felt that they were more like a 4 or 5 seed team. So they were way underseeded. And by the way, I hear Colorado's going to be even rougher. They were pretty rough on us last year, but that's another story. We're here to talk men's football and the state of the program. Okay, so we've had no Sweet 16s under Fran. All right, Iowa State has had 3 coaches in the same period who have taken Iowa State to the Sweet 16 several times. Okay, and right now they're on a 2 out of the last 3 years they've been to the Sweet 16. All right. So I guess they're a basketball school. I guess we're not, because Alford said so. Steve Alford said when he left here that Iowa was a football school, not a basketball school. Are we? I mean, we've had some success in basketball, but, we're definitely not a blue blood. And Iowa State's not a blue blood, but they seem to consistently get to the Sweet 16, the Elite 8 in the past. And they don't seem to sure, they've had their off years. They've had their off years, but just look at that team and what they do. It doesn't really matter who goes and coaches them. Every coach has the same philosophy over there. They raid the transfer portal for the best possible athletes that they can find, and that's what they do. We raid the transfer portal for one guy maybe, and usually it's a guy who's not. I don't know if he's the best that can pull out of there, but maybe it's the only guy they can afford. Okay. So, all right. Since we brought up no Sweet 16s, is there one in the future? Near future? I don't think it'll be next year. This is what I'm going to call rebuilding year next year. Next year is a true rebuilding year. Next season. We may find some freshmen on the floor. we might find. Yeah, I just don't see how, unless we can get a decent point guard out of the portal or decent post. I hear Drake has got some people who have entered. I think at least 3 players have entered the transfer portal since they lost their coach. Is it possible that one of those guys or is a point guard or a post player that we can rob and add to our, you know? If I were Fran, I'd be calling them. I'd be calling them today. Um, but I don't know where Fran is at on that and what these guys are looking at for that. So, yeah. Thanks for hanging with me, guys. Like I said, be sure to like this before you leave me and we end this thing because we got a ways to go because we still got football to talk about, spring football. And so that's where I don't see a Sweet 16 in the very near future. I think we've got some talent coming in. We've got some talent on the bench. Like both Sanford's, Dix, Harding, and Freeman are all great talent. I don't know a lot about Carter because they never play him. Luke, they never play him either. So, Spencer Hutchin. But the one thing I would think is I think we're all aware of this because we all follow. We all follow. Yeah, that's true, Jared. I like that. Yeah. Just because we're we can root for the other state teams in the state. Drake's head coach with his success. What the success that he's brought to Drake, I understand he's never not had a 20-win season while he's been there. Yeah. I know we're not talking about wrestling today. Jared and I plan to talk about the wrap up of the Nationals. And Jared, tell us when we should be expecting that. I'm ready when you are. So okay. So like I said, I don't know if there's much else to do about this. I don't have high hopes for this team. I don't see 19 wins next season, especially with Llama. Why are you so convinced he's going to college? All right. Okay, Jared. I'll talk to you. Yeah, that sounds good. I was gonna say I will talk to you right after the show and we'll set something up for tomorrow if you're ready. Okay. So yeah, be looking for our wrestling wrap up. I know that I've got a few things I want to say. I took a lot of notes. I know Jared watched a lot of the matches. I watched only a few because most of the matches were on ESPN Plus, and I don't have ESPN Plus anymore. Yeah, yeah. I think yes, I believe he meant college. Llama meant college. Yeah, I think he's being facetious. Llama is. I don't really truly believe he's going to college. Maybe, but I doubt if he'll drop it. That would drop him that much. He might drop down to a mid-major. It'd be interesting to see where he lands up because you guys remember who was it we lost last year? If you guys help me out here, I forget it. He went to, I think he played at Virginia Tech or West Virginia, and then went to Texas A&M or something for his last year, and everybody said he's playing pretty decently because he was given a chance to play. He wasn't he wasn't pulled off the floor every time he misdribbled or mishandled the ball. And that's where I think Dante Bowen's problem was this year is he played super fast. He played super fast and he made some mistakes, but he was never on the floor long enough to work through his mistakes and work out of his issues. They have to play more. Fran can't just yank these guys and then forget they're on the bench. Yeah, okay. 2 years ago, we're talking about Joe Desant. Okay, Llama says, yeah, that's who it was. Joe Desant, I think, I liked him. I didn't want to see him leave. I just wanted him to work through his issues. He was so fast and he played faster than his teammates, and his teammates couldn't keep up with him. And that was probably the biggest issue there. Okay. So anyway, here's what I see for the future. I don't see 20 wins the next couple of seasons. I really don't, unless we go into the transfer portal and pull out, some major stars that are willing to come here and not get paid, because I won't get paid. They won't get any NIL money. There is none for basketball. So I want to transition into the football spring. There was a lot of information that came out in the spring presser today. So let's get to talking about the spring. Okay, as you guys know, we lost Caden Proctor, right before spring practice started last week, to the portal, and now I thought he was going back to Alabama, but I'm hearing rumors today that he might be going to Iowa State. What do you guys think about that? You guys are saying seriously, going to Iowa State? So hang on here. I want to get to my. I got my notes in my phone here, and so let me see if I can find my notes. Oh, did you guys know on this date, on March 25th, 1983, Lute Olson coached his final game for the Hawkeyes. It was a Sweet 16 loss to Villanova. Yeah. Can you guys imagine where Iowa's program would have been if Lute Olson had never left? Okay. All righty. All right. Always be an optimist. Don't be a pessimist. So I guess I was just being honest. Honestly, I am. I want them to do well. Golly, I'm not going to run them down and stuff. So you got that for me, right? Okay. All righty. All right. Let's get to where I want to go. Here we go. The presser. Okay, Kirk started out with his own statements in the football. Oh, that is really hot. My laptop is burning up. Okay, so he just started out with some statements here, and he just started out by congratulating Coach Bluter and what the team is doing, and later on he talks about Caitlin Clark and what a special player she is and what she brings to the table. He talks about their winter program, which was about 8 weeks after the guys get back, and then they go on. They work on their physical and mental development, and then the same period the coaches are out finishing up recruiting and working on the system this year. They transition after spring break into spring practice. It's a good opportunity for them to get on the field, and they don't really work on plays and stuff like that. They work on personal development. It's all about growth and development. He said that's been their approach each and every year, and so that's how they're doing there. They did. I have not found it too deep. If you guys have found it too deep, I would love for you guys to post it here while we're on here, because one of the reporters will ask him about, hey, you've got a solid 3, 1, 2, and 3 quarterback situation here. We'd like to know, know more about it. And, he doesn't address it, but I'm assuming Cade's number 1, but we don't know who's number 2, whether it's Hill or Markle. Okay. He talks about the defense being a bunch of veterans. And he just talks about that they are going to go into the transfer portal. He says the transfer portal and generally has been good to them. Okay. All right. Let's see. This live. We're still doing this. Okay. If Caden goes to ISU, then shows up what program in Iowa is trending up and which one coached by Joe Paul Jr. is descending. Okay. Kirk acts like a politician when he gives a press conference. Yeah, he tells you what you want to hear, right? He panders to the audience. Okay. So he talks a little bit about Proctor coming and leaving. Um, okay. Llama, where did you hear that? I'm still trying to find the two deeps to find out what the pecking order was. Okay. I'm gonna keep going through here. Okay, so we're gonna go past there. This question is okay. By the way, he thinks Caden is still enrolled at school, but not 100% sure. Okay. Okay. Which QB would you prefer, Cade McNamara, who has experience but injury prone, or with a new young guy with no experience but exciting to watch? Um, I would take Cade still, but I would make sure I'd have an exciting young guy ready to go behind him, and it's not Hill, in my opinion. If they're even considering Hill as the backup, and then he has to play again. I don't know if I could go through another season with Hill playing quarterback. And I don't know if the fans will even put up with it when you think about it. Okay. Okay. They just talk about they for the first time since 2012 they've got a new offensive coordinator on hand. Yeah, he said that when Greg Davis came in, it was a cooperative effort. They all sat down and visited, and they pretty much came up with the offense together, what they were going to do. Um, they kept his passing terminology that he was familiar with, and they kept Iowa retain the language and terminology of the run system. Okay, so that was decided that he was comfortable enough to use Iowa's system, and so in other words, speak here. Kirk saying, "It's my way or the highway, buddy. You don't want to leave after your first year, so do it my way." Um, he does talk about Lester, that they are using Lester's playbook. They've gone through Lester's playbook and they pretty much using it. And from what I hear, and we're going to go over some other things here too. Some other notes I took from somebody else off of Facebook. But anyway, what was I? Oh, where was I going with this? Okay. All right. Anyway, they've got he's excited for the new playbook, and they are using Tim Lester's playbook. So he was just talking about how change is good, and probably a bigger adjustment for him since that's more where we're here. He's a new guy, but there'll be some terminology change. And anyway, I think the big thing to hear is he's letting Tim. At least he's what he's telling us. He's letting Tim Lester do his thing. Okay. So, but he thinks that the transition from offensive coordinator is going really well on the offense so far. So, okay, here's the question. There's a clear 1, 2, 3 on the quarterback chart in the spring depth chart. What are some of your development goals for each of these three guys? And since they're coming in really sort of different spots in their career. All right, I'm just going to read what you guys said, and let's see here. Go. Yeah, it's really pretty simple. We want them all to improve. They all need to, and they all know that. It's every player on the team, though. I'll start with our oldest guys, the guys on defense. If they're thinking that way, that we're not going to have a good team next year, everybody needs to be thinking about that. What improvement looks like it different. Certainly different for every player, but quarterback is pretty darn prominent position. And Deacon has the benefit of that he played most of the year last year, and of any of our guys. So certainly he's got to be more experienced and an awful lot of things he can work on. Marco has a different set of circumstances and different things to work on, but every player on the team has got things they need to get better. and that's what the time period is really good. It gives us chance to acclimate those things and show them on film, and hopefully they put themselves in situations where they can demonstrate that they are learning and improving. That's the whole deal. Then the faster you can do it, the better off. The depth chart, I'll say in a word, is about that. It's March 26th right now. It doesn't mean a lot, and I told the players that in the first meeting. Nobody knows what it's going to look like on August 31st. So right now, let's just worry about getting better and worrying about your performances. So and that's and I think that's certainly good the way it is. All right, okay. Lama is saying, I'll take the opposite of whatever KF wanted. He's proven not to know his QBs. Um, Unfortunately, the way KF has lied, you actually believe he's going with Lester's playbook. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. I do believe it, and I told you that before, Lama. I'm willing to give it a chance and make it work. Okay. All right. Yeah. He is interested in looking into the portal at the end of the spring practice. They're always going to look at it and consider whatever they do to need to make their team better. But he's not saying what they're looking for in the portal, from what I can tell. How involved will Cade be in the practice this spring? Um, so, okay, all right. It says Cade with his injury recovery. How involved can he be this spring? Also, any update on medical scholarships or guys who aren't continuing their football career at this point? Okay, he's got nothing on the medical red shirts. But at K, he's limited right now. He can throw the football standing, but he can't really be moving back or moving around or dropping back. He thinks he'll have him back in June at full speed. Really? Really? Let's hope so. I that would be great if he had all summer at full speed. Um, and so okay, they just talks about the divisions, and for the first time, there's no division in 15 years. But he did say, interesting enough, that the two schools that they're scheduled to play on the West Coast have actually all new staffs, and so it sounds like he's not too concerned. He would like to make it easy on himself and just do one West Coast trip a year. Um, so yeah, and he said the good thing about the West Coast trip this year is they have a bye week coming out of that West Coast trip, because he says going from the Midwest to the West Coast is not too bad on them, but going from the West Coast back to the Midwest is hard on people. I do it all the time. I've never had an issue, but maybe it's my adrenaline when I get to the other end. But I've never had an issue with my hours jumping ahead. You land in Iowa about 1 in the afternoon, and it's really 11 in the morning in California. So you lost 2 hours. Big deal. It's not like you gained them and going the other way. Okay, so yeah, yeah. He just, really, he just talks about a lot of stuff here that are just, to really is just so wordy that I just don't want to read it all. Okay, he just talks more about losing Proctor and what he has to do to recover for that. Okay, more offensive line questions. And he just talks about change, They talked about how they retained all the guys from last year on defense. Okay. All right, just going through that. They ask about Cade, what he's been able to work on, and how is he fitting in, and does and said that he has some RPO experience. Uh, um, okay. He doesn't see it as a major transition for Cade at all. Um, um, I don't know what's this hip drop rule. I could care less what a hip drop rule in NFL affects Iowa. It doesn't. Okay. Then I want to go over a couple other things with you guys um, that I got to get here to my notes that I found really. Okay, so there's this guy. They had a high school coaches clinic at Iowa, and I guess one of the things they were able to do was be a part of the practice, watch practice. Okay, some of the things that he came away with. This is kind of harder to read because I copy and pasted it into my notes. Said that the O line, no, the says okay, wait a minute. He said he thinks that the O line is more ready rather than the defensive line dropping. So what he was saying is that the O line won this year in the practices that he's seen, and so he hopes that means that the defensive line is not dropping off talent wise, or that the O line is just getting better. Okay. Yaya Black didn't take many reps. Craig needs to go to the next level. Herkett is ready as will be Llewellyn as a pass rusher. Compliment to him. Graves ready as well. Pittman is a load. Weirdly looks super young. Not sure he's number 3, but I'd prefer another year of limited stamps. 2s were Llewellyn, Merriweather, Gaffney, Holbert, Bowie, Allen, Crawford. Defensive ends look good, ready to play. Was hoping Crawford might be ready, but seems he's behind Max and Brian Allen. Guys, by the way, did you guys see Brian Allen on the Holy Cross game for the women? He was wearing his Holy Cross T-shirt to support his sister who was playing for Holy Cross, and I had no problem with him doing that. Yeah. Yeah. Jason, I heard today somebody sent me a thing, said it was only a rumor that Proctor was thinking about going to ISU, but he thought it had some legs, so he sent it to me. So I just repeated it. It is just a rumor. It does not mean he's actually going there. It's just a rumor. Maybe I shouldn't have repeated it because it was sent to me in private. So I hope I don't get in trouble over it. All right. Both of those guys, Max Llewellyn and Brian Allen, both of these guys can play snaps. Merriweather's looking long and athletic too. Defensive tackle is a problem. Losing Ontario Thompson was huge because I think he would have been number 3 and snap ready with Pittman number 4. I think we might need to explore another defensive tackle. Gaffney, Holbert, Bowie are all trying, but can't be counted on for reps in this guy's opinion. Maddox, board charging. Johnson has size, just needs more time. Didn't catch Buckney or Cross. Okay. 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 I wasn't sure about that rules. I didn't know that was possible. Okay. Getting back to the what this guy had to say about practice. Linebackers, strength of the team, obviously having these guys Higgins, Jackson, Fisher back makes the 2s look so good and ready. Scherhauer, Harrell were the 2, and Harrell was brought up by Kirk today, so he's really high on him. 2 with Rex Roth playing legal in situation. Scherer and Harrell look ready, and that when their turn comes, they have been plenty of time to get ready. Okay, I'm just going to go through that real quick. Espinoza wasn't there or wasn't He was out. Um, didn't catch Hall, Fagan, Van Ness. The long, interesting guy. Defensive backs, probably the group I watched the least. X and Schulte at the safeties. X had a pick off of a tip ball, and he's a dude. Schulte coming back. Um, back. Hall just needs to take the next step. Okay. Ettinger out. So the twos were Lutmar and where did they come up with these names? These are names I've never heard, guys. By the way, these are names I've never heard of before. So this guy really must have been paying attention. Here's his idea of a 3-4 deep quarterback. McNamara, 1, Portal 2, Linez Hill number 3, and Poholski would be number 5, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Having 5 scholars is not ideal, but number 2 spot scares me. Poholski, I believe, is a walk-on quarterback. Does not have a scholarship that I don't think, but that still gives us 5 quarterbacks, and you forgot about. So we will have 5 quarterbacks in the fall when what's his name, James Reeser gets here. Okay, running backs is Johnson, Williams, Patterson, Moulton. Looks like Washington might be going for the wide receiver. We need a go-to Portal 2 guy. Caleb Brown, love him as a slot number 3. Not overall solid wide receiver skills yet. Anderson, number 3. Bostic, number 4. Wetjen, number 5, and specialty guy. Bowie / Wick as the 6th running back. Tight ends, Lachey, Estringa, Ortworth, and Hayden Large, who's also practicing tight end and fullback, according to Kirk. Left tackle, Richmond, Portal for backup, and Leonard. Left guard, DeYoung, Stevens, Ellsbury, Locke. Okay. Center, Jones, Ellsbury. Left tackle, Jones, Chaplin. Right guard, Colby, DeYoung, Stevens, Ellsbury, and Piper. Right tackle, Dunker, DeJong, and Dotzler. Okay. Defensive end would be Craig, Allen, Crawford. Defensive tackle, Black. 3 Portal, Brockway, Graves, Pittman. For the defensive tackle, Graves, Pittman, Bowie, walk-ons. Defensive end, Herkes, Llewellyn, and Merriweather. Okay. The will would be Jackson, Harold, Tweed, or T-Lander. The Mike position would be Higgins, Scherer, Montgomery, DeLong. Leo would be Fisher, Rexroth, or Laughlin. Cash or Castro, Ettinger, or Nestor. Cornerback would be Harris, Nestor's Tate, Lee, Hall, and Hilson. Free safety would be, I guess that's free safety, FS. Would be Schulte, Enger, Lamar, McBride, X. I'll just say strong safety X, Castro, Cola, Rick, punter Dakin, Neeson. So that's what this guy had to say about what he saw in practice, and that's his version of what he thinks in 2 deep after he watched some practice. But guys, keep in mind, this is coming from a high school coach who went to practice after he did a coach's clinic with the Iowa team. And so I think that's really good. So yeah, I find it interesting. I thought they could. He transferred to Iowa, never played a game for Iowa. Proctor from Alabama. He can go in the portal a second time, and he can still do it and be eligible to play right away. Because when he left Alabama, he left under the special transfer portal rules that says that you can enter the portal if your coach leaves, and still play at your next school for eligibility wise. So I have no idea why, if he wanted to go to Iowa State, why he couldn't go to Iowa State or another school, why it would have to be back to why you would have to return back to his original school, Alabama. And I'm confused on that. I'm not saying that you're wrong, Jason. I'm just saying that I would just want to get more clarification on the rules to make sure that's actually what his choices are. So, um, however, Kirk thinks he's still enrolled at Iowa. So, would he still be accepted if he wanted? If he wanted to stay at Iowa, if he changed his mind because he hasn't left Iowa yet, he's still taking classes. So, my thought is would he come back and say, Kirk, I decided I wanted to stay after having more time to think about it. I realized I made a rash decision. Um, you know, could he do that? I have no idea. Um, you know, so. But anyway, guys, this is getting pretty lengthy. You guys have slowed down on your comments and your questions, and let me scroll up and see if there's any that I can answer that I didn't. Um, okay. Yeah. I hate it when I'm wrong. Anyway, yeah, we're just gonna leave it at that. There's a lot of questions. I appreciate you guys doing that. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share this podcast. Feel free to leave a comment, even if it's not live. I will see it. See it. Okay. I kind of miss having Jason and Paul on the show. Hopefully, Jason will return when football season does. And Paul, he's umpiring baseball. I have no idea. But right now, he said he's umpiring games 7 nights a week. So it might be a while before we see Paul. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. And I appreciate you guys all watching and commenting. And we'll talk to you guys next time, not tomorrow night, when we do about the same time, when we do our wrestling recap of Nationals. And so come back for that.